You're entering a no judgment zone. The following show is real and raw, and everyone is encouraged to speak their mind. This is the Immigrant Experience, a program we hope will have an impact on the future of newcomer immigrants and Canada at large. An open platform, one that welcomes everybody. This is the Immigrant Experience. And now your hosts, Emmanuel and Ruben.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Immigrant Experience Podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Dualaikoko, along with me.
And this is your co-host, Ruben Ashali. Welcome to 2023. I believe this is the second episode of the year.
This is the second episode of 2023.
Yeah, we I believe 4 months away from the anniversary.
Yeah.
And we have been glad meeting a lot of guests throughout the last 6 or 7 months. And of course, today we are also blessed with two amazing guests tonight. And I will not even introduce them. It'll take some time to bring them in for them to introduce themselves. Emmanuel, do you want to do the introduction?
Oh, yeah. Well, today we have with us two amazing guests, two amazing African diasporans, all the way from Rwanda.
Oh.
And as well, two elites in the university. Elite mind, I mean, when I say that. In terms of education, they're in the University of Ottawa, taking two different programs, dynamic programs. I'm going to let them introduce themselves to us and to our audience in general. Yep. Well, they always say ladies before gentlemen. So, I'm going to be a gentleman and start with the lady.
Thank you very much for having me. So my name is Kevin Nishimge, and I do go to University of Ottawa, and I'm taking Human Rights and Conflict Studies.
Human Rights and Conflict Studies. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yes, it really is. It is fun. Challenging, but fun at the same time. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's very interesting. Okay, then we move to...
My name is Drayton Munindawigishavu. I'm also a student at University of Ottawa taking health sciences with a minor in psychology.
Okay, minor in psychology.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So people, you already know we're going to have a very interesting episode. We have very elite minds, like I said. And brains we can dig into and pick from and learn a thing or two about immigrant experiences and as immigrants in the community.
And maybe before we go further, I wanted to know, maybe we start with you again. Can you take us back to your immigrant experience? Did you came to Canada alone as a student, or did you came with your family here? And did you came as are you a first generation immigrant or second generation immigrant? What's the immigrant story?
So it's I'll make it very short, but I am a first generation. My parents actually came a little earlier than my little brother and I.
Okay.
So they came. So right now it's been 15 years that they're here. Okay. So when they came 3 years before, my brother and I, we stayed back at my grandparents because, coming here, it's a very different process.
Yeah, it is.
You leave your job, you leave every single thing that you have, and you have to prove that you're able to take care of the family you're bringing in.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I stayed with my grandparents. And they were doing the whole process. And when we got here, my little sister was born. So she's the only one who's born here.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a very big change. I was 13. So it's the time where you're trying to find your identity.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out who you want to be, what you want to do in life, right?
Yeah.
And the culture shock is immense. It's I will dig into it later on. That was one of the biggest things. And now it's been about 9 or 10 years that I'm here. So I'm excited.
Wow.
It's good.
That's
I like
beautiful.
it. Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
And did you came, when you came with the brother, your parents were already here?
Yeah, they were already
that's
here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So at least you had someone to ask too.
Oh, yeah. We came on a flight on our own. Very challenging. I didn't know how to speak English or French correctly. There's some things I didn't know what to say. And my accent was really big. So there's a lot of things.
I'm 13 years old. Woo.
Oh, yeah.
Were you the bigger one or the smaller?
Oh, I am the oldest of the family. So I had to carry my brother physically and mentally. So,
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What is your story, man?
Yeah, me too. I'm a first generation. But I arrived here a bit before Kevin. I came when I was 8, I believe.
Oh.
8, 9. So me too, I came with my parents and my younger brother.
Okay.
He's like a year younger than me. We came, we did like most of our schooling here. And then my other younger brother was also born here. So he was the only, I guess he would be like the second generation Canadian.
yes.
Yeah, but that's my immigrant story.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
That's really
and when
interesting.
you guys came, did you like you had to start your high school here?
Yeah.
You're 12 years old.
Yeah.
And when you were 9, you had to, I think, grade.
It was like grade 2, 3.
Yeah.
So I guess I kind of started earlier my schooling here.
Oh yeah.
Like when you moved.
When I
What was
moved
that
here.
like?
Do you even remember?
Yeah, what was that like? That's
No, weirdly, I remember a lot. Like I remember a lot being like that age. I remember
Yeah.
like the full experience, me coming here, me seeing like all the new things. Like for me, I think maybe because I was younger, it was like. It was, you know, like when you watch those movies and then, like, you see the little kid just like admiring, aspiring everything. Like I was just taking everything in. I was like, this is so cool. Like all these new experiences. Like I was all for it. You know? So I was just like walking around like stars in my eyes and everything. And it was that.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
That was very good. You know?
Yeah. And then to kids like 9 years old, you pretty much, even if your family is going through transition, you don't even feel it.
No,
You don't feel it. No, you don't feel it. You just feel the magic.
to make friends.
I
It's just
wish.
the magic.
Like I wish.
It's just the magic of it. It's only way later that I understood like the process of coming here, you know?
Yeah.
No, before I was like, wow, this is awesome. You know, my first experience on a flight, that was very magical experience.
And it was all coming calm.
Yeah. No, till this day, like flights, I'm absolutely in love with flying. I do it every chance I get.
Oh, true.
So it's an experience that stuck with me.
That's good.
Which high school did you go?
So when we first came to Canada, we were actually living in Edmonton for a bit. So I did most of my primary school in Edmonton. Then I came to Ottawa in 2013, and I believe that's when you came.
Yeah, that's
to
when I
Canada.
came. That's when I showed up.
That's very interesting.
And then I went to Saint-Martin as my high school, and then I did all of my high school there, and then went to Ottawa.
That's beautiful. Maybe if
That's
I go to you.
Yeah.
Maybe, how was the experience?
Oh my God,
2013, right? That was when you came?
I was 13, so I guess
Okay.
I'm assuming so. Yes, actually, yeah.
Okay,
It was
that's very
2013.
coincidental.
It's gonna make
That's
10
very
years.
coincidental.
Yeah.
That's very coincidental.
I would say it was slightly different than, of course, Drayton's.
yeah.
He was living in paradise,
Of
apparently.
course.
Me, when I came, so we start the new year back home in January, right?
Yeah.
Here in Canada, they start in September. So when I came, I think it was in January, and instead of going to grade 6 like everybody else, I had to go back to grade 5 and finish that year because not only language barriers, I did all the tests. The math was the top notch that I was doing grade 6 math, but grade 4 and 5 English and French. So I had to finish with everybody else in grade 5. So I wouldn't say that it was like a little, it put me backwards, but it's like it pushed me a little forward, right? So that was the thing. And one thing that I noticed that was very different is that in movies, like you were just living there. Me, I didn't believe the snow was an actual thing. Absolutely
no
not.
way.
'Cause,
Yeah,
you know,
I think I can vibe to that.
yeah, like growing up, you think, you know that, you know, Hollywood, everything is just not always real. So
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't understand why people could just walk on white snow and just be okay with it.
Yeah.
So when I came, I didn't want to go to school the first day until my dad took me out of the car and had to bring me in the school. I'm like, no, I'm only gonna step where people are walking because I don't want to dirty the snow. So that was like one of the things.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah, it was very different, and I was not an extrovert. I don't think it's because like back home I was a social butterfly, and I feel like I still am. But when coming here, you're trying to I was more of an observer. I'm trying to like see what people do, how people do things. So things like presentations, it was not my thing.
Yeah.
Standing in front of the class and talking about something.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
no, I hated it so
I struggle
bad.
with that too.
Yeah. So
And the thing with immigrants, it's pretty much a normal thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like even if like when I was coming to Canada, like I came 2017.
Yeah.
At my old age, and on the plane, like I would not speak, but I would prefer to observe even what people order. Even at school, like I think in the beginning they thought, man, this guy maybe doesn't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But I did understand, but I would prefer just to like hold back and observe things and even be the last one to even talk.
Agree, yeah.
Like they will be talking, and then I go on the last one. This guy think.
He's real. Yeah. I think when she said that about like presentation, coming from like my education system from Cameroon, I'm from Cameroon. So that's why I speak English and French as well.
I see.
So we have a system of education where you're only examining through test, through writing in the test, and it's cram work. So when I came here myself, and you had to actually present to score point, do other things to score point, it was very different. But I felt like that made it even, because back home, everyone is measured with the same stick.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So everyone, if you cannot pass that exam, you fail.
Yeah.
And that is not a fair measuring stick, because some people are good at maybe showing up in class all the time, and they never score good marks for that.
Yeah.
Some people always do their assignments, and those assignments don't score much.
Yeah.
But all of those things made it so much. So it counts so much so that your exams wasn't so big, so much so that even if you fail that exam, you can still pass. And I found that was like a big difference for me. But I found it hard, like just standing in front of the class, and they're like, okay, you have to present to score 20 marks.
I'm like, great.
And I'm speaking out my life, literally. But I was an outspoken person, so that was like my chance to shine. Literally,
It was your thing.
So which high school did you go, if you don't mind?
So I went to Franco State, but for elementary, the last year I called Saint Geneviève. So Saint Geneviève was the elementary school, and then I went to Franco State.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And now you guys at University of Ottawa.
Yeah.
What are you doing at the University of Ottawa?
Oh God. Well, school-wise, it's like the program that I'm doing, like human rights and conflict studies.
Okay.
Well, I also do work as a faculty mentor there as well, so that's like a big part. I feel like it's good, it's important. The work, not the work I do, but it's more like I could relate to
it's
the
linked.
students.
It's linked with what you're studying too.
So far, that's what it is.
Interesting.
That's beautiful. And you?
Yeah, me, I'm just studying the health sciences, trying to finish my degree and get into like academia. So master's, PhD, and research and all that good stuff.
That's beautiful. You thinking to go to law school? Or?
Oh God, that's a very funny story. I wanted to do that since my first year, but I had an internship at a law firm and I liked it. It was a great experience. I don't say that it was bad, but it's more, I noticed that the reason why I wanted to do it is because it pays really well. And yes, in life we thrive to do things that pay us really well. We're not going to be in denial of that. Exactly. But I don't think that was a very good intrinsic motivation of my own, right? So after doing it, I still have them as reference. They're a great company, but I wanted to do teaching. That's the second thing I've always wanted to do. It's funny because my grandma was a teacher. My mom is also a teacher, but that does not mean I'm following them. It's just something I feel like I would actually really like. I'm like, this is kind of weird. It's a chain, right? If it's that, I'm probably going to want to do teaching in elementary, maybe like do my master's or apply for another bachelor in something and then go study abroad. I want to at least teach abroad 1 year. It's one thing that I really want to do. And then maybe come. So I'm very open. I don't like sciences, but I respect anybody who does sciences. So I am very, very open.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I of course, I know some people who are going to school for like human rights or other courses. I took international development. And the people were like, you know what? After this, I'm going for law school. But after the first and the second and the third year, they're like, you know what?
It's not my thing.
I don't think I want to go for law school. But again, like an incentive, like payment is always an incentive.
Of course.
Right? And like an immigrant, when I first came and wanted to go to university, I was good in sciences, even back home. And my family here and even my relative were like, you know what? You have to go for science. or engineering, Sante, anything
Lord.
in health,
No.
anything there. But yeah, I found myself here I am. I never pursued that route, but yeah, I tried that.
Somewhere else.
Found myself somewhere else. And maybe now, like adding to what you guys are doing in school, your community projects. Do you mind like shedding some lights to like what you do in the community and
Yeah, absolutely.
project?
And funny enough, like when I started university, I initially wanted to get into medical school.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my goal. And then in the year after I started the organization that we're going to talk about, my interest shifted and everything
like,
changed.
no, not anymore.
And then whole life changement and all that. So I get that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And health science is pretty much a broad spectrum.
It is.
You can do
You can do many different things, you know,
It's
which I'm very happy for.
Yeah.
I'm not like stuck in it.
Yeah.
I can do a lot of different things. But yeah, no, it really started with like just this idea I had of some sort of like hub to innovate and create different ideas and social innovations. And then I went on into like starting it, and then I put it together. And then as I was studying and I was getting involved, I was like, I really enjoy the aspect of working in many different areas and trying to find like connections and try to connect things that are not connected and try to find solutions in many different fields. And then eventually I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be happy just working in the health field. So that's kind of how I branched into like this whole innovation field and really just trying to understand what that is. And then we started the company, it flourished, and then
the rest is history.
the rest is history.
What's the name of the company?
The name is 20today20tomorrow.
20 today, 20 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And maybe you can try explain to us
Interesting.
what is the motivation behind 20 today, 20 tomorrow?
So I'm gonna like backtrack a little bit. As
Okay, yeah,
you
yeah,
may
yeah,
clearly know, the CEO is right here.
Yes.
So I recently actually just joined. So I'm the chief partnership officer. So one of like what I'm supposed to be doing is that, let's say I find an organization or a company that is looking for youth innovator like perspective, for instance, anything that has to do with that aspect. It could be nonprofit, it could be charity, it can be anything. And then what I will do is I will connect to whatever organization it is, and then we'll discuss on what they want, because we do have a group that's really varied in every aspect. So we have students in like social science, we have them in like IT, basically any little thing. We have someone who's in that field. So depending on what an organization wants, I will, Drayton, for instance, will look at what the agreements are, and then they will kind of like, we'll work together on the contract depending on what they want. And some of the funds that we get, we might use it for our own projects or just help them kind of have that youth perspective.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
So that's
amazing.
That's my thing. But before that,
Yeah.
before I joined, of course, Drayton, because we actually didn't even know each other. I met him when he was becoming very, very famous on social media. Yes, it's true. And then I was like, oh my God. So like actually last year was when I was walking to class and I saw him. I was like, oh my God, you're Drayton. I follow you. I know you. So we had never like spoken in life,
like one-on-one.
Yeah, so it was always like I would see like articles or something that he worked on. I'm like, I would just comment on it, very simple stuff. I'm like, okay, maybe one day I'm gonna run into him. He goes to the same university as me. And then we talked, and he wanted me to be part of the team, and I'm really grateful. And I'm like, okay, my
really
point of view, we'll try to do the best that I can. But yeah, before that, I was working with special needs kids. Actually, it was a program that I did in the States called the Youth Ambassador Exchange Program. I'm not doing the promo for them, but slightly I am a little bit, just a little. So they take 13 students in Canada, so one person per province, and I went in 2019, like before COVID. So I represented the province of Ontario. I had to just, write a bunch of essays, references, a bunch of other things, and then you compete with people within your province. And once you get an award, and then you go to the States for a whole month. So we went to like DC, New Jersey, just to meet with like different deputies. But the whole aspect of it is to kind of do leadership work. And you have to come back having a community kind of project. And I would say it's slightly kind of what I like to do is that like doing one thing in particular
Yeah.
to not make my life boring. Not that people that do it, their lives are boring. Absolutely not. But it's more like if I'm doing school and I feel like helping out, giving a hand on anything that someone might need help for it. So
Yeah.
I wanted to implement a project that I did in high school working with special needs kids. You know, it's very hard for them if it has to do with like activities that we do at school.
Yeah.
It's not that they're always excluded, but it's more you see that
Challenging.
Yeah, it's very challenging for them. There's not a lot of emphasis that's put on them. So I was working with specialists because it's not my field and I needed the extra help. And when I came back, I had to implement that project. And during COVID, again, it was hard because you're working with special needs. You have to be physically there with them.
Yeah.
So we kind of like stopped it as I was graduating, but somebody took over like at my school. And I know that they're doing an amazing job.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I do a lot of little things here and there. I'm everywhere.
And like, what
really
was the
interesting.
inspiration when you went to the US and came back? How did the experience change you?
One thing I would say is that, yes, we do say that Canada and the States is quite the same. Politically, very much different. That's one thing I could say.
Yeah.
But because my whole entire thing was leadership and community engagement is that they really value that. And if you are willing to have a project that they can partner up with somebody who's Canadian, because they are affiliated in some ways, they will do anything to kind of support you in any way. And I noticed that it's something that they do, especially in high school. They put a lot of funds in them and they want people to actually help out a lot. Not that in Canada we don't do that, absolutely
But
not.
it's much over there.
Yeah, but it's just broader. It's there's a lot of different things, right? I did the special needs one. Somebody else did one that had to do with climate change. So it was like a variety of things, and they're always willing to like support in any way. That's one thing I would say that was a little bit different. They will put the resources, of course, that are needed for that.
And I'm even shocked why you didn't pursue that field in university.
That's a very good question. Yeah, I know. I mean, the thing is, I do like to work with kids, so that's why I'm like maybe perhaps being a teacher. And if that doesn't work out, I'm very open. Anything that has to do with corporate, of course, or government, whatever you want to call it, I'm very, very open with that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's
and now,
really
before meeting her, getting her to join your team and start helping you, how do you even come up with the idea?
Yeah, what inspired you?
What is the motivation behind this idea?
What inspired you to?
Yeah, no, it's a very like it's a process that I want to study further in my career, and I think that's what I want to make it. It really just came to me kind of like out of the blue in a sense. Like I'm a person who likes journaling a lot. So I can actually backtrack to when the idea came to me and when I started writing about it.
Wow.
But it started from like this need I had of trying to find ways to like help my community and solutions in that sense, but in a way that, that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
And that wasn't very focused on like more like the data collection and like informing of the community on certain issue, but more so focused on like the development of like solutions and actually the implementation of solutions.
Yeah.
And I found that like there's a lot of community groups that are youth run, but none of them really has like that kind of power to implement solutions on the long run, and that really has like that sustainability aspect to it, or even that's like independent. Most of them have some sort of link to a bigger organization, affiliation, or they always rely on like external funding. But I wanted to like create something big, but just for young people that they can like funnel crazy, incredible ideas that can transform the communities in ways that they aren't limited. A lot of these, like let's say I have an idea, and I'm trying to apply it for a grant or whatever. Those kind of things are very closed off. Like they tell you certain things you have to follow, and it's like then you take your idea, which could have been very awesome and great, and then you try to shape it into what the grant
requirement.
Exactly, right? So then that kind of stops a lot of things, especially in innovation, because then you can't combine a lot of different fields together, right?
No, you're right. You're very right.
And then from there, I just started like brainstorming a lot of different ideas, and I was like, it would be really cool if I just like made this hub that can like really just start this whole thing and funnel a bunch of ideas through it. And then it started.
That's amazing. And what year was that? During COVID?
Yeah, what year?
Pre-COVID,
It was during 2020. And that's kind of, that's a bit like why it's like called like 20 today,
I mean, 2020 is it's when things happen, right?
Yeah.
when things
Vision
happen,
2020.
you know?
Vision
Yeah,
2020.
there you go.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing.
So a lot of new things start.
Yeah.
I think ourselves, we started 2020.
Yeah.
We did
great.
register the organization and
Some
after the
magical year.
pandemic. Yeah. So,
Yeah, so I think it was a magical year, right?
yeah, it was a
Yeah,
magical.
yeah.
I think people had enough time to sit at home and reflect.
Oh, yeah.
And think and saw the need that were there and how could they feel it. So you had like people like yourself, entrepreneurial minds, looking on how to better serve the community.
Yeah.
And one of the funny thing, like if whenever I sit down and reflect from 2017 when I came to Canada, I found the system was very fast.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And I was just like peaked and dropped at the same system. Then I started then COVID.
It slowed everything
Yeah.
down.
Then I realized, holy crap, like there's things around me.
There's so much
Exactly.
gaps.
Even like the gaps around.
Yeah,
like,
there's so much gaps.
It's true.
and I think that's where like it
we
even
did see
brought
that.
up like
No,
even minds
absolutely.
start thinking,
Absolutely.
how best can I help and changing things?
Yeah. Like even like before COVID, I consider myself, yes, I was very like creative in that sense, but I never saw myself getting into like this whole entrepreneurial world or like this business world.
And
you know,
how
it's
did you go about it? Like after you
really-
had the idea?
It's really like first like the idea came to me, but then like the idea took me over in a sense. Like as days passed, I couldn't see anything but that. So I was like all sorts of resources trying to find ways to first, like it was the funding, like, you know, how do I get enough funding to put this together? So we started a merch line and then we started sending out and then we sold a few and then we used that funding to create the structure and then we got a team together and then like from there like back to back we did our first innovation and then that brought even more and then second and then
And did you even remember like a few innovations that you did before and
absolutely
the most that has been the most successful?
No, we've done two so far and one is like the one where I felt the most emotions for and the second one is the one that like I found the coolest. So like I'll start with the coolest one.
Yes.
Don't get emotional later.
So the coolest one was basically our whole idea was to try to make mental health more like tangible for young people, something that they can see, they can connect with, and kind of remove the stigma out of like the whole mental health. Right? So we did this through different things. Our very first project was the sticker project. And that was aimed to make them access to mental health resources very easy. So what we did, we created this sticker.
Did you come with a piece or no?
Actually, I didn't bring
The one day.
The one day where I don't
No
have
problem, no problem.
I usually have it too, but we both about the same.
Well, we're gonna have the links to your website.
I can send you pictures. I can send you pictures
on the
of
YouTube.
Absolutely, yeah. No,
thumbnail,
it's so it's like a round sticker, right? And there's this like special technology in it, and it's the same technology that we use to pay with our phones. So it's NFC tap technology, and it allows you to like tap the sticker, and then there's a page that pops up on your phone. With like we made this page that has like these funny motivational quotes, and then there's like a help button that connects you to resources around you. And then our goal was to put these stickers out in different areas where young people are, so they can have access, quick access to mental health resources, right?
Oh wow!
Wherever they want it. So we got some in a few schools here in Ottawa, and we're working our way in different provinces. We were able to make it to Saskatchewan. So 2 out of 13.
It's okay.
So we're making our way through,
That's
We'll get there.
We're making our way
amazing.
through.
That's really amazing.
and even getting into like I've met a few of young folks in the community and like with these ideas and whenever I ask like who's the audience here, they'll be like my audience is schools, like high school kids and stuff. But even getting to one school.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really
No,
hard.
it is very tough.
Yeah.
It is
But the
very
fact
tough.
that you guys broke into Ottawa, now you're in Saskatchewan. Man, that's big.
Yeah.
No, school
that's
boards are
drive.
hard to work with. But that's the thing. Like once we generate enough power from like young people, and we show that the younger people are actually using it,
Yeah.
and we start collecting data on how many people are tapping and
using
stuff
it.
like that,
Yeah.
then we can get into places
You
more
build engagement.
smoothly. Exactly.
And when you guys first created this idea, like was it funded by you guys, or was it funded by an external funder? And how are you creating sustainable then?
Yeah, so it was a little bit of both. Like part of it was us funding it for the first few production of the stickers.
Yeah.
And then we were able to get this micro grant from Rising Youth that allowed us to tap into other external funding. And then we got a few stickers down. And then from there, once we started getting the data, we're like talking to school boards and being like, this is what we're offering, and then here's the price for it, and then they would pay for the production of the stickers. That way we wouldn't have to keep going to external funding.
Yeah.
And they will be paying for something that they feel the school needs, right?
Yeah.
So then that kind of ran itself, and then that way, like whatever school needs them, they pay for it, and then we don't have to worry about the external funding, and then it keeps running by itself, basically. Yeah.
And when you guys are running through, and I know maybe you came in to help running to schools and stuff. Now that some of the high schools kids are using this device, are you the one responsible for looking at the data, the number of tabs and all those data? Like how are you using those data to inform now the school of the impact of this program?
We send them updates, right?
Okay.
So we do have like the data on how many people are tapping, when they're tapping, how many new users we have, and then we just send them out like, oh hey, you've reached 500 users in the past month, you've reached this and that, and then it just keeps them informed, and it keeps going, and then that way if we ever say like, oh, do you need more stickers, then it's like they know it's worked before, so it helps them. Say like, this is working,
and even to report if they want to buy more of them.
Exactly.
And what's the feedback from the youth using the stickers?
See, personally, when I came, I had not been part of that project, but I know because he gave me one of them, and I gave it to my little brother. I have a brother who's in high school, so I was like, test it out and see like whatever it works. I feel like to him, he actually asked me, I was like, well, the reasoning behind this, I'm not the one who came up with it. However, what he thought, I would say, like, as the feedback I would get from like a family member, for instance, who's in high school, is that he asked me, is it because some students in high school or like adolescents don't like going out to ask resources for mental health? Is that why that was created? And I was like, well, partially yes, because of course, sometimes it's a very like taboo topic to talk about. Sometimes you don't feel comfortable going to somebody and asking for the resources. Of course, either you're going to be asked questions or you just don't want to share your personal life. So I feel like himself, he actually found it really useful, and especially being a guy, and he's like, okay, this would actually, so he actually usually has it when I don't need it, and he's shared it to a few of his friends. He showed it to them. So I feel like it's really, really useful when it comes to getting resources right away without having to go and share what you're going through, but it's all handed to you.
So, like, what are the contents? What would you find on the sticker?
So, like you stated, some of the resources that are there are the quotes, and I feel like there's like a number that you usually call and you can text to get the information that you need immediately. Like, I think it's 24/7, right?
Yeah, a lot of their services are 24/7. There's different sorts of resources, like even community centers are on there. Online services as well.
Wow. So it's very resourceful.
You keep those information updated? Like,
what's really cool about that portion is that when we first tried to make it, we didn't want to become like a service provider. Because there's like so much out there. So we kind of went through all the resources that already exist, and then we try to find one that really fits and that can work for everyone. So we found this one resource created by Kids Help Phone. not to promote them, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. They have a really cool resource where it's like you can put like wherever location you are, and then it tracks all the resources around you. So it's community centers, helplines. You can cater it to like you want it to be far from you, close to you, in person, online, all sorts of filters, And we're like, this would really benefit a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because then it even categorizes like what sort of groups are you in. So, it can really give you the proper resources for you. And then we're like, it would be really good to utilize this resource for all the youth. So our help button leads to that resource that was created. That way we know that it keeps being updated, and we don't have to like take on the responsibility of creating a new resources and already like concentrated field, So that's
they pretty much invest in like
exactly. They invest in it, and we believe that they do. So that's the better way.
That's very interesting.
What has been feedback from the users and even the schools so far?
The schools really love it because they don't have to do as much work to try to connect the students, right? So they
it really easy for them.
They're really into it, and it makes them look good because they're working with youth and coming up with like solutions. The youth really love it. The youth that's one of the coolest part of it is that yes, like it works, but also like sometimes, you talk to people and then I ask people that go to the schools that stickers are in. I'm like, have you seen this? Yeah, we've seen this. Like, this is what it is, I tell you all, I'm like, oh, really? That's really nice, That's really nice.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. Or just like seeing, so basically the concept behind that one was to find a way to create a platform where youth can inspire youth, right? Okay. So we did this in many forms. The first year was through a podcast, actually. And it was really
What was the name?
Inspire the Next. So the whole thing is called
Inspire the Next.
Yeah.
Inspire the Next.
I think I've seen something like that somewhere.
Potentially.
I saw something like that.
Yeah.
So what was the podcast about?
It was just about bringing on youth that are doing things in their community and then trying to get them to tell their stories and
inspire the next one.
Yeah. In the hopes of inspiring the next, right? And the thing is, what's Inspire the Next is it's like a concept that has many different, that takes many different platforms. So that one platform was through a podcast. And then the year after, we thought like it was very. Like it was a podcast, it was cool, but like we thought it was just kind of like average, So we wanted to like take it up a notch and like change things up and make things a bit bigger. This was the year following COVID, so like people were starting to come back in person and stuff. So we're like, we have to do it big. So we turned the podcast into like a live show. So a live talk show style, like type Ellen, where we had hosts, and then same concept. We bring on young people in the community doing things, and then we try to get them to tell their stories. We played some games with them a little bit as well, and then we added a networking portion to it. Whereas like we had 3 different shows, and it was last summer, and every show had a different theme. So the first show was youth artists. So we brought on youth artists as guests, but then there was a live audience. So we invited a lot of youth artists as audience to watch other youth artists and to help them inspire, but then to also help them connect and make connections for whatever sorts of things. And a lot of great things came out of that. Then the second one was youth businesses, and then the last one was youth advocacy in all shapes and form. And then part of that as well was like the Inspire the Next Hall of Fame, where we took different youth in the community, different categories, different things, and then we made portraits of them, right? And then we displayed them at the venue for the show. And then the goal with that was to bring that into City Hall eventually, which is still in the making. But the part that like I think I enjoyed the most was building the show from ground up, and like obviously having no experience in like directing the show or doing all that, and then having to do it in person live there. It was really sick. Like at the end, I was saying thank you to everyone, and then there was like the crowd, and then I was just looking at like, damn, like this really happened. And that's why I think it was like the most emotional one, because like people were interacting with me, Like with the stickers thing, like people don't really interact, like something's happening and I don't know about it. But like here, I'm like, people are there, like, oh my god, this is a good experience.
Yeah. Getting feedback.
Getting
Yeah.
direct feedback.
So it was a good time, and like we were hoping to do one this year as well.
Yeah.
But like just reflecting on that and looking back, I'm like, this really did happen. So that's where the emotion came.
That's what and you feel like you're part of yourself to know that this can actually come alive and you can actually make this happen. Like, that's amazing. As an entrepreneur, which you are, and with that CEO mindset that you have, where do you see, what's your vision, and where do you see
the programs
and this in the next 5 years?
There's a lot. There's a lot of things I see. But there's like this one analogy that I like to use that kind of like puts the whole vision on the table. In terms of like what I see this becoming. I see it as like, let's say 5 to 10 years from now, right? A young person has this idea for this like new car model, for example, that they think can help society in some way or form and young people and all that. I want them to be able to do that.
To be a think hub.
Through this company we're building, I hope that they can be able to make that happen. And if that happens, then
you feel like you did good. Good.
We would have lots of bridges. For many generations.
And in term of like reaching that dream, I think it might need a lot of pushing and partnerships and like reaching to the people with the resources, for example, so that they can pretty much support these ideas that you guys are putting together. And I think maybe that was the idea behind you coming in. Right?
That's a people person. Like when we first met and like, you know, telling me about like how she connects with people, like I was like, yeah, that's the person. Because, you know, like ever since she's been on, like we've been able to connect with so many different people. We can get her to like really establish that like structure that we want.
With the vision of 20 today, 20tomorrow.
Yeah, you're good. Don't worry. Do not worry.
With the vision of 20today20tomorrow and your role at the company, where do you see like you playing that role? Where do you see the organization going in the next few years?
I would say like we'll give it like a time of like 5 to 10 years. You know, it might happen before that. It might happen within that time slot. But it's more. I will try to use all the connections that anybody that I've ever encountered with that has anything to do with youth innovators, youth entrepreneurs, but also not specifically within that field. So let's say, for instance, you have a company that has health sciences. Even though that's not something that we are looking for, I will still want to reach out because you might be the one able to connect me with somebody who might want like that perspective. So I feel like I tend to sometimes hold back and just, am I sure this is the right company? Am I sure this is like what we want? So every single time before I even reach out to anybody, I'm like, Drayton, do you think? You know, I'll like bug him with those little questions. So I feel like it's gonna be a way for me to kind of be like, allow me to broaden my perspective in a way that I won't be held back anymore. If I feel like we're gonna have a chance with an organization or like an idea can come from an individual, like anybody that I'm talking to that I just met. That's basically before we met. It was through Alex, and it was nothing to do with 20 today, 20 tomorrow. We're just talking about it. It's like, I know somebody. So if I didn't do the outreach or feel like I could have gotten an idea or someone to connect me with him, we wouldn't be here actually. I'm trying to see if that's something I could kind of put in with the team to
and
help out.
I have one of my boy back home, and he does pretty much a social innovation. He does recycling of water bottle. He started a company, like an advocacy company back home, and what they do, they have people who are masonry, like they take these water bottles. Back home, people barely recycle.
Of course.
So like they teach people on recycling by get them to bring these water bottles to them, and they melt them and make statues out of them.
Okay.
And we were talking, and I was saying, I told him, you know what? There's this guy, I know he has like a famous supermarket back home. I said, this guy might love this idea. Like he has all these garbages at his backyard. Maybe you could talk to him. You went and talk to him, like, I didn't even think of this might develop some sort of relationship, but it just went let me talk to
just
you.
talk. Yeah.
And when talk, the guy's like, yeah, that's a good thing. Like, do you mind me taking these water bottles here and paying you to take these empty water bottles?
Yeah.
Go do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
And that's how, like, that partnership, then the guys now, like, they have that business partnership with this guy. They clear his garbage, but really it's like taking that and doing whatever thing he's doing.
Yeah.
So, like, I try understand, like, it's meeting someone.
Oh yeah.
Then getting to know, like, how relationships will develop.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even if they might not be able to give you like the exact ideas or the exact thing that you wanted for your organization, you might inspire them in some ways. You never know, right? So it's like give and take. But it's not always the incentive of I'm gonna tell you something, I'm gonna receive something. Absolutely not. It's more I'm gonna share what we're doing. I might tell you the way we're doing it, and you might tell me, actually, if you want this to work, maybe try this. And I'm going to take that idea, that perspective, and share it with the whole team. Like, of course, it can be challenging. It's not every organization. I feel like sometimes when big organization hear youth, it depends what it is. They might be like, yes, we need that youth perspective. Some others are like, okay, they don't know any better, right? So I always have to know that if I do get a no, which I've gotten no's, it's not just like, we're bad at what we're doing. It's more no sometimes is like redirection for something bigger and better. You take it as no for like a new opportunity. You never know. I might not have anyways gained anything from you, right? But I will still want to take the approach, right? So I feel like that's what I want.
And maybe the follow-up question, I've been involved in Ottawa for like the last 6 or 5 years I came, like within the social and health community resource aspect. And one of the most, I would say, disturbing thing that I've encountered is that distrust for young people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you go somewhere, like, I'll tell you, even there are places where they'll be very doubtful giving a young person a job.
Yes, that's the thing. I don't,
this guy, I don't think he has experience. There's a place, like, I'm not mentioning names.
Yeah, of course, we don't do that. It's very confidential information.
I got a job. And when I went and read the interview questions, I found some of them, like the comment they put there is too young for the position.
Yeah.
And with like your role now reaching out to organizations, trying to push this youth initiative, have you ever felt like, like being, the fact that we are youth-led, I'm not going to make you here.
So, like...
Without mentioning names.
No, of course. We don't do that. We keep everything very confidential. Yes. Like, I just started in January, so it's been like about 2 months. It's going to make 2 months. We've done a few reach outs. We've gotten responses. Some we haven't gotten responses, and that's okay. I feel like sometimes when you do read, like a description, for instance, on an organization, and there's no single word that says youth, to me, I'm like, is it even worth a try? But then sometimes I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? You get a no, but at least you tried. You know, you rather try and get a no than being like regretting that you never tried, right? So when I do reach out to organizations like that and I don't see the word youth and I will try to make ourselves shine in a way that you might not need us right now, but you might in the long run. So I'm just going to tell you what we do, keep us in the loop a little bit. Maybe in 3-4 years, they might reach back, right? So you kind of tell them, like, even though right now it's not the time, and maybe it's just an organization just opened up, they might not see that it's something that's going to be needed, but we're very open. We say that we could work with anybody. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes I hold myself, but sometimes I'm like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? It's just an email. It's just a call. It's okay. You never know. I might speak to someone that I might.
And that's why our team.
I can totally see why. I think in every work environment, there's a certain dynamic that everyone brings to it, and being able to realize the strength of everyone in your team, or with the where am I good at and where am I weak at. That's what any successful person needs to have. Checking your blind spots. You can never be good at every area.
Oh, absolutely not.
But if you're able to know that, I'm good at maybe practical or implementing, and I don't like the administrative side of things. Then why not get someone who supports you in this area? Or I'm not good at public speaking or public relations. Then you have someone who's good at that help.
I look one of the Elon Musk's interview, And it's a bad guy.
It's okay. It's okay. We all do. We all did at some point.
One of the interview, they asked him how he came up with the Tesla logo. I said, no, I didn't come up with it. It was some random guy who like designed the logo.
Yeah.
He's very bad, like he's not a social person. And he wanted to buy the logo. He sent someone within Tesla who is a very people person.
Yeah.
with a 10,000 check, with a 50,000 check. And
Love that. Yes.
Convince the guy. And to him, it's like, if I went, we would not have this logo.
Yeah. I love that he knows that. It's true. And I feel like it takes something like someone who have that kind of for instance, I will give an example. Like Drayton has his creative part of him, but he's capable of looking at everybody and seeing, you might not be good at this, but I feel like you are really, really good at this. I wouldn't say that I'm good at something that's to do with partnership. I never thought I would ever do it, but it's more like, he noticed there are some areas that they might be useful, but then to me, I'm like, okay, even if I might not be the best at it, I feel like it's something I'm gonna want to improve, right?
Yeah.
So being capable of looking at what somebody, like in a team of 30 people, you trusting them and knowing that you might not be good at speaking, but I know you're really good at writing. I'm going to need you for that, right? It kind of also pushes the person to be like, okay, I'm at least valued for something. At least I feel like my idea or my point of view is actually going to be used for good, right? And he pushes the person to want to do better, right? I feel like ever since, I guess I started, it's just been 2 months. Now sometimes I'm like, oh, I will take a note. I was very bad at taking notes because I'm like, what did I do wrong? Like, I will start evaluating what I did wrong. But now I'm like, it's okay. They said no. I'll move on. Go to somebody else. So
that's really interesting.
That's very interesting.
And I got a quick question for you. What do you think anyone stands to benefit? It's 20 today, 20 tomorrow. Being a part of this program. Or I would like to know from you as well, like what do you think you're learning so far being part of it? And what would someone benefit being part of 20?
And maybe adding on top of that, like with social innovation you're doing, what are you doing to, I know the project alone motivates young people, particularly immigrants. Like, what extra are you doing to at least make sure you're bringing those kids into the limelight as well?
So I think, like, off the top, like, when this whole thing was coming together, I was like, I don't think, like, we don't take any volunteers. Basically, off the top, like, we value these young people's ideas. We value what they bring to the table. And we want other people to see that, right? So off the top, like, everyone is rewarded like for their work. Even when we work on contracts with other organizations, like they pay us a certain wage, we develop the ideas, and the youth are rewarded for their time and their ideas. That way it's like, I know your ideas, whatever you're gonna bring is valuable, and we can put a price on that. Like, you need to see that value. Versus if people come in as volunteers, then it's like, we'll take your ideas. We might even make something out of it. But, at the end of the day, you're still a young person. And I just didn't really like that kind of narrative. Like, I feel like, I feel like young people's ideas are just as valid. If not even more valid than certain people in certain fields, right? So I was like, everyone here, like, we put a price to it. If like people don't want to adhere to it, it's okay. But like this is what we stand for, kind of thing. Like that's interesting. And I think like the environment of making especially like I remember the very first time we started working on an idea for an organization. When we had our first innovation meeting, we were like 5-6 people, and then we just started brainstorming, and it was such a good feeling to see how many things we were able to come up with and how like engaged everyone was in the process. And as much as like these ideas weren't even for us, it was like we're working for someone else, but like we were working together on something that will have like actual impact, and like we were rewarded for it in a sense where like they valued our perspective. And that felt really good. And I think that's like an experience that I will forever hold dear.
That's really amazing.
So I think I hope that the others do that as well.
Appreciate it.
I think like everyone has just been really happy with the process.
For sure.
That's beautiful.
For sure.
That's
So
beautiful.
like just learning from everyone and being able to be part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then maybe
It's an amazing learning experience.
to you, how is the entire project inspiring you?
Like preparing me for like more like future or
And inspiring you?
yeah, of course. No. I feel like for instance, for like what I do, yes, it's partnership and it's connecting. I feel like if it's something I want to do on the side, it's something I'm gonna want to keep putting effort because, like he said, our ideas are valued. It's very rare that you're gonna see an organization of youth that are being not paid. That's not what it's about, but people are willing to put the time and effort to listen to what they're bringing on the table, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like one thing that I would say that it's inspired me to do is more, if I feel like I have an idea, again, like I used to say, I was never the person to want to share because I'm like, I need to be 110% sure they're going to value that.
Yeah.
But now it's more like, okay, you give the idea, it's accepted, it's not accepted, and that's okay, right? So even my own personal like projects that I do aspire to do in the future or like on the side with like other organization that I'm working with, what I mean by wanting to like have my value or like my ideas valued, I feel like it's something that I'm kind of gaining from this, you know. It's filling up my plate of other things in a good way, right?
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you know what? Like I like the first time I saw your project, you guys, I was very inspired. Like and just like what I've said, like it's very rare finding young people who are doing social innovation, trying to solve things. And I know, like, as a youth project, you'll face rejections and all those challenges along the way. But the fact that you guys are pushing things and going forward, and like I say, like not you may face some challenges, but not everywhere.
yeah,
Like the places where you feel welcomed and you'll be given the support that you need. And one thing I always tell people, like if I was given a chance as a young person to even lead the organization, then what am I also doing to support other people through that opportunity that was given?
Yeah.
And if I can leave you guys with one thing, that's the thing. Like if you guys having that opportunity, what are you? And that maybe can be something within your head. Like what are you doing to support your community? And I know like what you guys are doing, it's totally justified. It's very supportive of the community. And maybe just praying that you guys continue doing whatever you're doing. And you never know, like it's a think hub.
Oh yeah.
Next time, maybe another electric car will come out of that.
Oh yeah.
And maybe those students will be like, you know what, I have this idea.
Yeah, it's
And 10 of
good.
them there share those ideas and try to develop them.
Yeah, it opens up like a space.
Definitely, I think Anyo could benefit from
Yeah,
your
exactly.
projects as well. Like
Yeah.
from your innovative thinking hubs
Yeah,
and all that. We can definitely get people who are thinking
yeah.
smart to come and help.
Any ideas are smart. That's how I see it, right? I might not be needed for an organization, might be needed for something else. It's always smart,
sure,
right? So if I had to say one thing is that like, we hear this very common, knowing that you will face challenging times in whatever you're going to be doing, but know that that's going to be a little push for you. That's going to lead you for something bigger and better. You might not be getting a yes right now, but you're going to get a yes one day, but just don't stop, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm going to pass it on to my co-host for to wrap us tonight. I really want to appreciate everyone who has been listening, and please subscribe.
Yeah, and of course you can follow us on Spotify and other audio platforms. And one thing that I will finally say before you close out, if there's any support or any, I know we've met sometimes back and we have a lengthy discussion, but if there's any support you think we can be of help, for sure, you have our emails and information, just tap in and we'll be here to support however we can. And for those watching, the description down on the comments and the description of the organization that these amazing people are working on.
You can click the
20today 20tomorrow.
Yes.
Their website and contact information are also down on the description of this video. Thank you so much, and see you next week.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Immigrant Experience, a program we hope will have an impact on the future of newcomer immigrants and Canada at large. We hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, hook up with us on Instagram at Anyo_2021. #the Immigrant Experience. See you guys next time.